Transporting bees across state and country lines is a daunting challenge that very few truck drivers are willing to undertake. Bees are not just loved for the sweet, pure honey they produce, but serve as an invaluable treasure, contributing more than $20 billion to the US economy. But they're slowly becoming a dying breed, and what's left has to be put in skilled hands and transported to different parts of the country where they are needed most. Keeping these fragile creatures alive for hours on the road is an uphill battle for even the most experienced driver. Join us as we explore the complex nature of beekeeping and the tough choices truckers have to make while transporting bees. Did you know that the Italian bee Caucasian and Carniolan honeybees are the most popular for commercial production? These bees are the top choice for both new and experienced beekeepers because they're easy to manage and are known to quickly adapt to a wide range of climates. Before the bees are brought in, keepers carefully choose the ideal environment where the bee colonies can survive and thrive. Fun fact, the environment the bees inhabit is almost as important as selecting the right species for honey production. Nature doesn't play favorites, and there are poisonous plants and pests like varroa mite and wasps that pose a serious threat to the development of any bee colony. The ideal environment should be lush and green with plants, flowers, free from pollution, and minimal dangers to the colonies, allowing bees to easily adapt to their environment and collect nectar. By this stage, beekeepers prepare their hives using unique beekeeping boxes. These boxes are called the Langstroth beehive, and they're very popular among beekeepers. But do you know why it's been the top choice for decades? Known for its relatively simple design and removable frames for honey and wax, it is incredibly customizable and proven to be the best design for the highest honey yield. With its interchangeable parts and partition design, the Langstroth hive not only makes it possible for the bees to maintain their colony, it also allows beekeepers to easily inspect, manage, and transport the hive. Beekeepers can decide to move their apiary to a new location to better meet their bees' needs. Transporting bees at certain times of the year to areas with abundant flowers and plants is essential for greater honey production and pollination. Most times when honeybees make long, daunting trips like this, they do more than just produce honey. 80% of all crops we eat, including fruits and vegetables, require some type of pollination. Did you know that you wouldn't have almonds without honeybees? These bees also help to grow crops like apples, cherries, and seed canola. Transporting hives across several thousand miles multiple times per year is big business for truckers. Shrinking habitats, pollution, and the growing use of pesticides are causing wild bees to slowly disappear. Without the bees to pollinate fruits and vegetables, food prices go up drastically since there is a decline in the availability of certain fruits, vegetables, and nuts. So, companies often pay commercial beekeepers to transport their colonies across state lines for pollination season. Pollinating endless fields like the almond tree fields in California takes 85% to 90% of all the bees in the United States. A colony could see the sun set in North Dakota and rise in California. This is nothing like lifting a load of steel, timber, or hauling commercial packages. Bees are living creatures, valuable to both beekeepers and the economy since they contribute to a third of all foods we eat. Truckers' main job is to do everything possible to keep the bees alive throughout their long journey. They have to navigate tough decisions, from moving the bees in hot weather to organizing smart stops, dealing with traffic, and difficult breakdowns on the road. Whenever bees hit the road, beekeepers estimate that at least 5% of the queens will die, and the rest of the bees cannot survive without their queen. The job of the driver is to keep the loss within this range as much as possible. In the worst case, all the bees could end up dead by the time the truck arrives at its destination, and that is a massive loss both to the beekeeper and the economy. Fun fact, bees can only be moved at dusk or in the night when most of the bees are not out foraging and are back in the hive. Some beekeepers also wait till winter to move since bees are less active then. Drivers also prefer howling bees during cooler weathers, since it gives the bees a higher chance of survival. When it's time to load, the crew moves fast to get the hives in place before the sun comes up and the bees get active. For large orders, crews can load 400 to 450 beehives in 20 minutes to an hour, ensuring that the truck gets to its new location by sundown. Once the bees are in their hives, they're secured in place using traditional ratchet straps so that the hive doesn't open along the way. If you move a colony a short distance, the bees might find it difficult to orient to the new environment and might fly back to the original location. But if they are moved over a longer distance, the bees wouldn't have much of a problem adapting to it, since their flight paths won't cross with the previous location. Block the entrance of the hive with some grass or tape to prevent the bees from flying out during transit. Covering the hives with a net like this is another way to reduce the chances of the bees escaping. Straps secure the netting on top of the hives, adding an extra layer of security. When transporting bees, especially in high heat, Varroa mesh floors are placed under the hives, making sure that the colonies receive a constant flow of cool air. When exposed to heat for too long, bees can't fan their wings effectively to keep the colony cool, and they start to die off. So drivers need to keep moving to ensure that these bees get plenty of air and remain less agitated when moving. In especially hot weather, truckers can hose down the hives with cool water to keep the temperature between 32 to 35 degrees Celsius. Temperatures above 50 degrees Celsius will cause severe damage in the population of the colonies unless there is enough airflow for moving at high speeds. Once the hives are loaded, truckers are on the road from sunup to sundown. Since each hive houses a colony of about 50,000 commercial honeybees, a driver can move more than 22 million bees in a single trip. That is a very valuable load to take care of. Every day, there are less and less drivers with experience howling bees, and most are unwilling to do so, because the drivers are also responsible for making tough decisions. This means that companies are willing to pay experienced drivers a premium fee to howl the bees to reduce incidents of entire colonies arriving dead. Any stop for more than 15 to 20 minutes would cause the bees to overheat and die. Bees are most active during the day, and long stops give the bees ample time to escape and fly away without the driver's knowledge. Beekeepers also have to inspect, feed, and treat the bees before transporting them to ensure that they remain healthy during the journey. The driver has to maintain a consistent speed and stop at regular intervals to inspect the hives. The hives shifting while on the road could upset the colonies, and generally, a few bees will escape or die during transit. This crash just cost the beekeeper millions of dollars. It is going to take a while to replace the colonies that have just been lost. If the truck breaks down or has to stop for a long time during a hot day, all the bees could either die or fly away by the time the truck gets fixed. So, the best plan is to pass on the hives to another driver to keep the bees from suffocating and continue the journey. When the bees arrive at their new location, they are thoroughly inspected for dirt, weed, or insects. If an invasive insect or weed is found in the hives, a picture is sent to scientists for identification. And this process alone could take the inspection from 20 minutes to as long as 5 hours, putting the bees in significant danger. Drivers are expected to clean off the hives a couple of minutes before they reach their destination to prevent delays during inspection. The hives will only be offloaded if the insect or weed is confirmed to be harmless. Once the hives are offloaded and opened, the bees rush out to get acquainted with their new home and forget their original hive location in no time. Once the pollination is complete, the bees have to be returned to their original location just in time for honey production.